أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. As these nights pass, we're getting closer to the end. These nights come and they go. What do we take from them? Rasulullah has a hadith and it's beautiful. He says in the hadith, it says, أنا يوم جديد. I am a new day. وأنا عليك شهيد. And tomorrow I will be a witness against you. فَعْمَلْ بِيَ خَيْرًا. So do what? Good within me, within my hours. Take advantage. So as we get closer to the end of this journey of Karbala, you should begin your journey. Because it is a journey. It's a journey to get to the gate. Abbas got to the gate. Qasim got to the gate. They did their duty. Are we going to do our duty? It's not an easy road to travel. But if you have the navigation system, it's incredible. Now, when you look at the gate of the city, you don't have one. You have 12 that take us to the city. In the city, I want you to imagine if you were walking on the path and you get to the gate and you open the gate. You walk into the city. What do you think Rasulullah would ask you to go first? Where would he ask you to go? What's the center of the city? When he went from Mecca, from Medina to Mecca, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what was his first thing that he did? What did they do in Mecca? They let the camel, correct? They let his camel go. And where it sat, they were going to build the Prophet's what? House. And that became what? The first mention. In the city, these masajid are the core of the community. This is what we have to protect. That Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says an hour in a masjid is better for me than an hour sitting in heaven. And he said, one rak'ah in this dunya is better for me than what is in heaven, what is heaven and what is in it. Then he was asked why. Why? He says, because here there is ibadah. There is no more ibadah. You have heaven on earth. You have it. You know what it is? It's when you go into sujood. We all want heaven. We're all walking to the gate. But imagine when you're walking towards the gate, you're collecting emotions and feelings that not many people have in terms of emotional templates. Emotional templates are not just given. Let me give you an example. Think of a little kid or a little baby when they haven't tasted lemons yet. And what happens when they first taste the lemon? Do you think they know what the lemon is? They don't. But imagine when you first put that lemon in their mouth. What happens to their face? That experience hits so hard. It comes into the mind, and now what happens to the baby? Let's say it's a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old, and they just started walking, and you just put that lemon in their mouth. What happens? You see the face, the grimace of the face, and they're like, now go to them again with the lemon. Watch what happens. They're like, I don't want that. What happened in the heart? What happened? That is emotional conditioning. That's how you condition the heart. Through that experience, you gain an emotional template that you connect to an idea. So all of us tonight, when we look at the gate, Imam Hussein is that gate. That gate is connected to an emotion on your name. And you set that up in your own heart. And how much are you willing to sacrifice for that gate? This is your opportunity, our opportunity, as a whole. So when we condition ourselves, we're not like that little baby that grimaces when we see Imam Hussein. And I'll give you even a better example. This is how you emotionally condition yourself. Right now, if I were to ask one of you, and forgive me for it's a little disgusting, but just bear with me. If I were to ask one of you to come up here, if I were to give you a cup, and I would tell you, sorry, spit in the cup. And after like maybe 5 minutes of you just releasing your saliva, I ask you to drink it. It's your saliva. It was just in your mouth. How come it's now disgusting? How come? There's a disgust system that we have inside our own brain. Your brain holds a disgust system, and it's heavily controlled by serotonin. You have a dopamine system. You have the dopaminergic and the serotonergic systems in the brain. Dopamine is connected to what? Happiness, pleasure, reward. So imagine when you hear Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, that releases dopamine. And imagine when someone is doing ghibah, that releases that serotonin. What are you doing? See how you're programming yourself? This is human engineering. This is incredible when you begin to study yourself like that. You begin to understand how you work. The inside system, Allah Azza wa Jal will bring it forth. And the more you understand it, the more you begin to understand your subconscious mind. So when you connect to the gate, there's something that happens in your heart that there's no way I'm ever going to leave this gate. Even if I have to give my life, not once, not twice, not 3 times, it doesn't matter. The time and space does not matter. Now what grabs the heart like that? What? Think about that. How did these people come up and stand to that kind of challenge? Abbas, Qasim, Abbas's brothers. Brother Yusuf, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, because that comes from a different place. To put words together and then to sew them and make them make sense and then have it connect emotionally, that's incredible. So I appreciate just the thoughts and the ideas that you had to put together. But you have to feel that first. So that allows this to work. And when that works, you're connecting further. Your heart is going deeper into the ocean. And I swear to you, please, take this from now till the day you die. Follow the truth. You will find your Imam. Just follow truth. That's your guidance system. Just follow that. Al-haqqu ma'ali wa aliyu ma haqq. That truth is everything. And it starts here. And you connect to here, my God, what you have. We talked about that a little earlier. Now watch. The gate is there. And you're getting closer to the gate every second. Every second of your day that we lose, you're getting closer to what? The gate. You just better hope, what? It's the right gate. So Abbas is walking towards the water. Just imagine, even close your eyes if you want, and just go into your imagination. And he just 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, and he's just getting closer. And think of the river in front of you, and you're just not thirsty. This is now survival. It's not just thirsty. And then imagine when he gets to the bank of the river. Just think about that. Think of that moment. He gets to the bank of the river. Now the river is just right in front of him. Then imagine when he kneels down and his knees go into the sand. Slow down the moment for you. Then just think of the feeling of the water touching his hand. How much appreciation do you think he has? Just to be able to touch the water. Just to touch the water. But now there's something here that's even worse. And you said it beautifully better. He had a bigger cause than the water. There was another thirst he's quenching. And what's that? What's that thirst? That's the thirst me and you need to long for. His spiritual thirst. That's something amazing. You begin to think like that, talk, walk like that, something happens in your heart. So now on those levels, how do we train ourselves? How do you train the heart? That you condition it. It submits to you. You don't submit to it. So now, it's part of your brain. It's got dorsal, lateral, prefrontal cortex. Then you have the ventral medial prefrontal cortex. One is responsible for cold cognitions. One is responsible for hot cognitions. Hot cognitions is when you're personally involved in a situation. Let's say I talk about you. You're personally involved. Let's say I lie to you. You're personally involved. That activates that part of the brain. Medial, ventral meaning lower, medial meaning in the middle, okay? When that happens and that hits, you're not involved. So whenever you get into a conversation, come on, could you guys move up a little bit, please? Just let everybody in. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. So now, these two parts of the brain, if you are involved, it's very difficult to give advice. You know why? Because now you're activated. And you know what that does? That shuts off that front part of the brain. So now you're just black and white. You know, like how it's easy to give other people advice, but when you're in a situation, like your brain just shuts off, you can't think, and now you have to call someone else to give you advice? This is why. Because when you're personally involved, different regions of the brain activate. Let me take you a little further. Because I'm going to build this, inshallah, we'll get to the end. Now, the brain takes in millions of bits of information per second. Millions of bits of information. And it knocks it down, and it filters it to about 7 bits of information per second. Let me show you how it works. Remember how we talked the subconscious and the conscious mind? Remember how we talked about that? Now watch this. Right now you're sitting on the floor. I'm going to take you from a conscious level to a subconscious level and show you how information is coming in and you don't realize it. Think of the pressure of the floor on your body. What just happened? You shifted your focus to an attention that you didn't realize was actually coming in. It's actually a tune down. It's coming in. But the subconscious mind is taking in a lot more information that you can take in consciously. So now, how does the mind filter out information? There's a part of your brain that's called the thalamus. And there's another part that's called the reticular formation. Those two parts of the brain filter out information. Now watch this, please. When this part filters out the information, do you know how it does it? How does that part of your brain, Allah Azza wa Jal has designed it to filter out information? And I'll give you a perfect example. How many of you have just got a new car? Okay, Yusuf. Okay, brother as well. Okay, maybe it's a bad example. Maybe I should not use it. But okay, brother Yusuf, I want you to attest to this, okay? Now what happens? Let's say you just got a new car. Brother Yusuf goes to the dealership. He goes in there. The guy's talking to him. Brother Yusuf is negotiating, dealing. He's like, man, I can't get this. I want this color. He buys the car. As soon as he leaves off the parking lot, you know what happens? Brother Yusuf starts to notice the car everywhere. Right, wrong? So, why does that happen? You didn't notice it before. It wasn't really important to you. So the brain filters out information based on what? Importance. Now think of Abbas walking to the water. How important is the water? You tell me how important that is. For his own what? His own survival. His own self. Then when he says, Ya nafsu inda al-Husayn, huni. Think about that. Look how important water is in that moment. But what does Abbas do? Instead of quenching the physical thirst, he quenches what? The metaphysical thirst. That's another level. That's another level that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, what he says, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, Rahim Allah ammi al-Abbas. This is Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, Kana, he was. He says, Nafid al-Basira. Did you guys know that Abbas was a jurist? He was a jurist. He was about 34 years old. He was a jurist. So he wasn't just a valid fighter. He was a warrior, no problem. But he was a warrior up here too. Get your knowledge. You need your knowledge. So now what happens? When you begin to move on these levels, and then Imam Sadiq, let me finish the hadith. Then he says what? He had this ability to tell the self what? No. That was Abbas. Your training to get into the battlefield eventually is not in the battlefield. The battlefield is moments. The training that goes into that, that's a lifetime. Because when you get and arrive and you get to that close to the gate, you want to be able to see it. So now, the way your brain works, the way you've set things up properly, and now you've conditioned the heart, and you're in submission to Allah, and you're moving on the road. And when temptations are coming, you're saying what? No, I'm not going to do that. And now you're taking it itself higher and higher and higher. So what happens when you begin to make mistakes? Who are the most beautiful people we usually go to? When we have trouble when we're young, what happens? Who do we go to? Who? Parents. Mama, Baba. Who's Abbas's mother? Umm. Now think of her sacrifice. Not one, not two, not three, 4. What are you willing to present? When you stand in front of Allah on that day, what are you willing to present? That he comes to her and he says, Abdam Allah, wujuh. And he's speaking directly to her. Now, look at the sacrifice, but what is important? And what is more important? Is the gate more important than her sons? Or are her sons more important than what? The gate. When he first says, from Uthman, Abdullah, Ja'far, she doesn't what? What does she respond? How does she respond? What is more important to her? The gate or her sons? Think of what you're doing on a daily level. Is the gate more important? Or is your business more important? Is the gate more important? Or you think in the Quran? Please study the Quran. Please, I'm telling you, just read it. Just read it. It's right there next to you. Don't put it as a decoration. Read it. And it says in the Quran, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. On that day, you will what? Flee from your brother, your mother, your father, your wife, your husband, your children. On that day, you're going to have something that's going to occupy you, just like everyone else. So stand on the road. Then, in another verse, it says, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. It's coming. When you enter the gate, and hopefully Rasulullah, inshallah, is there, and he accepts you and takes you in. Man, what you've got. So on that day, save yourselves. And who? Your children. Do you think she's thinking about her children? Who's she thinking about? She's thinking about the gate. Now watch this, please. This is what we have to get to. Allah gives a beautiful example in the Quran. That's why I'm telling you, study the Quran. Look at importance. Look at the importance of things and how it's set up. We're talking about importance and how the mind filters information, right? What is more important to you? I'll give you an example. When I'm dealing with my clients, and I tell someone, listen, you did this, this, and this. He's like, I forgot. I said, then it's not important to you. Because your mind messed it out. So on that level, you got to be very important. You got to really understand the way you filter out information. So now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَىٰ أَنْ أَرْضِعِيهِ فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي. What does Allah say? He says, إِنَّ رَدُّوهُ إِلَيْكِ. And we've what? Inspired the heart of Musa's mother. Now think of the connection between a child and what? A mother. Reptiles, when the turtle lays an egg, its eggs, it leaves them. Does it need any caretaking? Do the eggs need, when they hatch, do they need any caretaking? It just leaves them. Allah's programmed that. But think of birds. What happens with a bird when a bird, imagine the mother would do the same thing as the baby turtle, or the mother that's a turtle. Imagine, you know what, one day she decides, I don't want to do this anymore. Forget you guys. Why is that connection so important? It's for survival. Human beings take what? The most time to develop. Qasim was 15 years old. Please, brothers who are young, please listen to this. Please. When you hit about 14 to 15, please listen. Please. I'm going to bring you back to the point, but I'm just going to go in here because it just hit me. So please. When you're 15, your limbic system is fully engaged, meaning your desires are fully intact. There's myelination that happens from the back of the brain to the front of the brain. That happens, and it's done when you're 25 years of age. So from 15 to 25, you're just walking, talking what? Desires. And the control system is not fully intact. You have a Ferrari engine with bicycle brakes and a loose steering wheel. Okay? I can't give you a better example than what I just gave you. Just understand that, please. And don't think your parents are trying to restrict you. They're trying to protect you. They're trying to protect your personal interest in the future and the now. These are things you can't see yet. So believe in them. Believe in your parents. Believe what they're trying to do for you, because they're trying to protect you. Al-Baneen was protecting her kids. Musa's mother was protecting her kids. How? By the gate. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنْ أَرْضِعِيهِ فَإِذَا If you fear over him, Al-Baneen sent who? Sent her sons into battle without any fear. Now watch this. The mother of Musa is walking up to the river. Same idea. She's walking up to the river. Does she still have control? Can she turn back? Yes, she can. She gets to the bank of the river. Can she turn back? Yes. Imagine when she puts the basket in the river. She can still pull it out. Please. This is faith. Imagine the moment she lets go. Let go. Let go. And say, Ya Hussein. Let go. It doesn't matter. The world doesn't matter anymore. When you let go like that, you can have the heart of Abbas. You can have the heart of Qasim. Doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. The world can come to you, give you everything. And you know what you would say? No. I'm okay. My heart is too intact. I won't move. I won't move. The Abbas says what? If you were to cut off my right hand, my left hand, cut off whatever you want. I will always what? Defend this which is connected to what? The gate. That's how we have to work. That's how you have to program your own mind. Doesn't matter how young you are. Don't think because you're young, you're free. You're not free. You're disadvantaged. You got a loose steering wheel, I'm sorry. Okay? But you gotta listen. You gotta listen. A lot of us right now, we're going through a lot of trouble in our teenage years. A lot of trouble. You can see it everywhere. My parents, I want nothing to do with them. Over and over and over you see it. Your parents mean you no harm. So on that level, please, from Qasim to Ja'far, to Uthman, to Abdullah, to Abbas, the flag bearer. How do you become like him? How do you become that example? That he was what? Salbul Iman. Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam completes the hadith. He was what? That epitome of faith. Faith is in here. It's in here. You have to dive to the inside world. Put the internal puzzle together first. Then you realize that you're one piece of the human puzzle. And you know what happens after that? You have to find where you fit in the human puzzle. Look where you are. Look how lucky you are to be sitting in this masjid. Why are we here? Because of the flag bearer who's pointing you towards what? The gate. Imam Hussein is the gate. Imam Hassan is the gate. Imam Ali is the gate. And Rasulullah is the city that takes us where? To Allah Azza wa Jalla. Submit your heart. Tonight, stay up. And please remember me in your, if you stay up, remember me in your dua. We all need it. But stay up tonight. Do Salat al-Layl. Do the extra things that you need. And submit your heart further. And if you have a problem in your heart, you have something where, let's say you see someone, you feel a little jealousy, say, Ya Allah, I don't want to feel that. Say, Ya Allah, I don't want to go towards that. And then do this, and I'll leave you with this. Just like Abbas, drop the water, drop the want, drop your want, and see what happens to your heart. See what happens when you feel a little jealous from someone. Say, you know what, I don't want what they have. Drop your want, drop the water. Think of that moment when Abbas dropped the water. Drop your want like that. And then see what happens to your heart. See what ignites, what emotions you taste when that happens. This is why we stand. You are in Karbala right now. You are in the sand. You are thirsty. But just look at the gate. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.